Hello, welcome to episode 64 of the Fisher Fitness Coaching Podcast. Hope you're good and thank you for listening as per usual. So, this episode is on what the title says. Basically, it's how my clients get lean without sacrificing socializing or the foods they love. It is very common for people to ask me, especially new clients who first come on. They are very confused about what to eat, what they should eat, what they shouldn't eat, and unsure of just what to believe, because there's, again, so much information out there on social media and just from other various coaches as well, providing information, but a lot of it is very conflicting. So no wonder so many people get confused with the information they read or get told. So, and I think a lot of the time people almost get too scared about trying to go on a diet or try to lose fat, whatever, because they think they will need to stop eating all the delicious foods and they have to stop socializing and they can't go out anymore. They can't do this, they can't do that, they can't eat that, and they can't eat this. But it's just not true. It's not true at all. So I'm going to go into the methods, the strategies I use with my clients for them to be able to still enjoy their favorite foods and socialize, enjoy a few drinks here and there while still being able to get lean and, get into great shape. So the first thing I'll mention is giving or providing a calorie budget, because a lot of people don't have this vital bit of information, and it's so simple when you obviously understand it all. But going into a diet, trying to lose fat with absolutely no idea of how much they should be consuming every day, of course, it's going to be difficult. You can't suddenly, you can't expect to get great results if you just have no idea of how much or how many calories you should be consuming. Obviously, there are ways of losing fat without tracking and without knowing how much you should be consuming. And a lot of people do get great results simply by eating clean. So when I say eating clean, I mean taking out all the ultra processed junk foods, essentially. And it's not the fact that it's these clean foods which is causing fat loss. It's the fact that when someone does start eating healthier, eating clean, they will unknowingly start consuming unknowingly start to consume a lot less calories, which will put them into a calorie deficit, which will then cause fat loss. So it's not the actual foods, it's the fact that they're consuming a lot less calories. Because if you think about it, if you go from your usual diet of eating whatever you want, ultra processed foods, alcohol, cakes, crisps, chocolate on a daily basis, to then taking out all these types of foods and just sticking to vegetables and lean meats and fruit, clean foods, then of course you're going to consume a lot less calories. So it can be done. It can be done. But obviously you don't want to be, this is the whole point of the podcast. You don't want to be living like that. You don't want to be restricting yourself to just these healthy, clean foods. Yes, obviously it's very important to have these foods in your diet, but you still want to enjoy life. You still want to enjoy food, and you still want to continue to socialize. So you can have that. You can have great fat loss, or you can get great fat loss while still enjoying a little bit of these junk foods that everyone enjoys having, and a few drinks here and there, by simply having a calorie budget. So I provide all my clients with their estimated daily calorie budget, and I also provide a weekly calorie budget. So, and some people prefer going by daily budget, others prefer weekly. This is why I provide both. So there's no sort of one size fits all. It's about trying different methods and seeing which one works best for you. So I'll provide a daily budget. Let's say it's around 2,000 calories. Again, I don't advise that person to consume exactly 2,000 calories. It's a range. It's roughly around that number. So I'll say aim for around 1,900 to 2,100 calories per day. That way, they don't freak out if they get to, I don't know, 1,900 calories and it's 7 p.m. and they're still fairly hungry. They could still have a couple hundred calories in the evening to, I don't know, stave off the hunger, I suppose, you know. So it's not that strict. It's not going to make a difference if they're 100 calories over or under, really. It's about what happens long term. So I provide them with a daily calorie range and then obviously a weekly calorie budget too. So how I get that is basically to take their daily calorie budget and then multiply that by 7. That's 7 days of the week, and then they get their weekly budget. That way they can have high calorie days and lower calorie days depending on how hungry they are and depending on what they've got going on in that week, any social events, anything like that. And this goes on to my next point, which is essentially flexible dieting and calorie cycling. You can, let's say you have let's say you're going out on a Friday night with some mates, you're planning to have a few drinks and some food. You can literally take your weekly calorie budget and pre-plan how much you are potentially going to consume on that night. So let's say you're going to have an extra 1,000 calories on the Friday. That means you take off around 200 calories each day on Monday to Thursday. Monday to Friday, sorry. No, would that work? Monday, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, around 250 calories from Monday to Thursday. And then use those calories on the Friday. So it's also called calorie banking. And it's very, very useful. So it basically means you don't go over your weekly calorie budget. It means you can still have a high calorie day on Friday, enjoy extra food and drinks, and still be within your calorie deficit. So you're still going to lose fat overall. All right. So yeah, calorie cycling, flexible dieting is very, very similar. But it's like you're using this multifaceted approach. You're not just restricting yourself to a calorie amount every day. You're taking it upon yourself to decide if you're going to have a higher calorie day one day and then a lower calorie day another day. Because also you may not be hungry. So if you're not hungry and all you need is, let's say, 1,700 calories in a day, that's fine. You don't have to eat more. You could just take those calories and use them for the next day or for the weekend. So I've gone over flexible dieting, calorie cycling, very, very similar things. And I mentioned this last point, but pre-tracking your food and drinks. So again, if you're going to go out on a Friday night, you can pre-track what you're going to have. So you can pre-plan the amounts of drinks and roughly what food you're going to have. So, and again, I advise my clients to do this on nights out, if and when they go for a night out. And it's something I've done as well in the past. So if I've been on a fat loss phase, you literally just put it in your tracking app. Right, I'm going to have 2-3 pints, and then I'm going to have 4 or 5 vodka and soda waters with lime, for example. That's already in your app or your tracking app on the Friday or Saturday, whenever you're going out. And then you can simply eat around that Okay, and it's a lot less likely that you're going to overconsume. And you can also put in there your food as well. So you can, if you're going out for a pizza, you can put your pizza in there as well. Um, and I'd also recommend, if you are going to go out on a Friday or Saturday and you're going to consume a lot of calories in the evening, then maybe have a lighter calorie day during the day. So a very light breakfast, or don't have breakfast at all, and then a very light lunch, like a, I don't know, soup and some chicken, for example, and then you can go out in the evening and enjoy the meal out, or a few drinks with your mates, without going over too much and without feeling sort of that guilt. Um, so this is all sort of common sense, really. But the other point is having this junk food and booze in moderation, and understanding that calories still matter overall. So it wouldn't be wise, for example, to go out every weekend and eat and drink as much as you want on a Friday and Saturday, because that's just going to use up a lot of your weekly calorie allowance, with calorie budget. So thinking to yourself, yes, I know I can still go and enjoy myself every once in a while, but it may not be a good idea every week or every weekend. It probably still can be done, but you'll make it a lot harder for yourself if you're going out every weekend on the piss, and eating as much food as you want, having a kebab on the way home, So it's about just making smarter choices and being sensible with it. Allowing yourself, like telling yourself or allowing yourself these nicer foods and a few drinks here and there, but just being sensible. Because at the end of the day, calories still matter. These foods and drinks still contain calories, and it's all about the total amount of calories you are consuming over time on average. But when you do go out, and this goes on to my next point, it's about making smarter choices. So I mentioned it earlier, having a vodka and soda water instead of a very sugary cocktail, for example. Having 5 or 6 cocktails on a night out, that they are a lot of calories. So that may not be a good choice. But having a couple of pints of Guinness, because Guinness actually is quite a low calorie pint, for those of you who don't know. So if you like Guinness and you're on a fat loss phase or in a fat loss phase, then a few pints of Guinness is probably not a bad idea. So what I tend to do is because I don't really go out much anymore anyway, but if I do, so I'm going to go out on Saturday with a few mates, I will probably have 2 or 3 pints of Guinness, because I quite like Guinness, and then I'll move on to vodka or soda water with a splash of lime, or a piece of lime or something. Very low in calories. It's still, sensible choices. It's not over the top, not loads of like sugary cocktails, which use up a lot of your weekly calorie allowance. But again, making smarter choices. It's all common sense. So I could still get away with having a few drinks while not going massively over my calories. And my final point is, again, this sounds sort of so simple, but it has to be said. Just because you're going out for food and drinks, or just because you go out for a social event, doesn't mean you have to eat and drink as much as you can, right? This comes up so much. It's like a lot of my clients sort of say, well, I'm going out next week and I'm going out Friday and Saturday. Oh, it's going to be, I'm going to have to. It's almost like they've succumbed to the fact that they're going to eat and drink an absolute shitload. You are still fully in control of what goes in your mouth. Just because you go out to a barbecue or a night out or, a birthday, doesn't mean you have to eat and drink everything you see. You are in full control of what goes in your mouth. Yes, allow yourself some of these snacks and foods and have a couple of drinks, but think to yourself, right, well, does having 3 bits of cake align with my goals? Probably not. I'll have 1 bit of cake and I'll enjoy that, and then I won't have any more. Have some discipline, because a lot of it does come down to discipline, and eating and drinking these foods in moderation. Have a small handful of crisps, have a bag of crisps, have a couple of drinks. Yes, enjoy yourself. Yes, enjoy these foods, but just because you're going out doesn't mean you have to eat and drink as much as you normally do. People seem to um, have this mindset where if they go out for a social, they have to eat and drink shitloads. They have to, because that's what they normally do. Well, if you're trying to lose fat, you have to control your calorie intake. Maybe that's not a good idea, because you're literally trying to reduce the amount of calories you are consuming. So going out and having 4 or 5 pieces of cake, or 5 or 6 pints and a kebab on the way home, or a pizza, may not be a good idea. Maybe just having a couple of pints of Guinness and a couple of vodka and soda waters, and maybe sharing a pizza with your mate is a better idea. So remember, calories still matter. So those are a few ways you can get lean, get into great shape, lose body fat, while still eating and drinking what you like. Having social events, eating nice foods. You don't have to, stop going out seeing your mates, and you don't have to stop going out to the pub. Moderation, I think the key thing to take away is moderation, discipline, and having the knowledge, having the strategies in place for flexible dieting, calorie cycling, calorie banking, and having a weekly calorie allowance to play around with. All of this I do teach my clients when they sign up, so they know exactly what they should be doing. This is why they get such good results and still continue their active social life. Anyway, hope this helps. Any questions on anything I spoke about, please let me know, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, until the next time, thanks for listening, and I will speak to you all very soon.